Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Trek Canon. So today I'm going to be talking about some episodes, some series that I think will be great additions to the Trek lore, Trek canon, and things of that nature. Now, oh excuse me, I was putting together a Defiant, waiting on the paint to dry. That's what I'm doing. But this particular video came about because as I understand it, there's two or three new Star Trek series that's supposed to be making their way to the Paramount, I guess, Plus network. I'm not plugging them. I'm just telling you where they are. But I was thinking to myself, man, as a lifelong Trekkie, what would be my favorite Star Trek series that I would personally love to see added to, like I said, to expand the Star Trek canon? Now, I'm gonna try to keep them in an order of say like 5 to 1, but you know how I roll. I might even incline. It's a bootleg video, people. It's a bootleg video. So the and I'm gonna talk about them briefly based on their themes and why I think they will be great additions to Star Trek. Now, let's start there. First of all, everybody's used to Star Trek being a multitude of things. When I say a multitude of things, what do I mean? We have Star Trek episodes that have focused on Starfleet and Federation law. Think about Star Trek: The Next Generation's Measure of a Man. We've had Star Trek episodes that are focused on what happens to a civilization should the Prime Directive be broken. Think about the original series. What was it? A Piece of the Action. All right. We've had episodes that have focused on uh, going out to the far reaches of known reality. Think about where no one has gone before from the Next Generation. We focused on religious themed episodes. All right, and we think about mostly all of Deep Space Nine. All right, so and we've also focused on exploration as a result. A lot of social issues and everything like that have been covered as well on Star Trek as a whole. So these particular themed series that I'm going to talk about, I believe would expand upon things that have already been touched upon in the Star Trek canon. So let's start. Now, the first one would be, number 5 would be Star Trek S13. Now, this series will focus on espionage. All right, it'll be the spy type variety. Think of like a Mission Impossible, but in space in the Star Trek type universe. All right, people who work for the Federation and for the benefit of the Federation, but aren't restricted to the rules and regulations, or not to most of the rules and regulations that say Starfleet has to abide by. So I think that they will be able to cover a lot of themes and behind the scene happenings that happened in all of Star Trek canon and things that's going on currently. All right, think of all of the things that Sloan knew that Dr. Bashir and O'Brien was like, man, I didn't know that Section 13 had a connection with those things. So that would be my number 5. All right, my number 4 would be Star Trek Frontier. Now, basically, what this would do is capitalize on the fact that if a human with high ESPN ratings enters the Great Barrier, they will take on some of the Great Barrier's psionic effects, in essence, making them almost gods or omnipotent beings. Now, basically, what I would want Star Trek Frontier to be based on is, all right, what if there was a small ship, a small group of these individuals in the Star Trek universe that basically interacted and dealt with the situations of things of higher beings, like for instance, the imp from that Next Generation episode that made everybody disappear with a snap of his fingers. People like Apollo, or people or gods like that. They are, they deal with people who say like with the Trelane species, or with the people who train Charlie X. So they would deal basically with that. It'll focus. The overall theme of the show would, I guess, basically build up to them interacting with Zero or somebody along those levels. All right. Now I'm gonna say for number 3, it'll probably be Star Trek Relativity. Oh, hold up. Truly sorry about that, people. It was a truck bagging into the parking spot, but and I ain't feel like talking over. I ain't feel like talking over. But anyway, Star Trek Relativity. All right, they will focus overall on a temporal war, but it will be basically a time travel based show, and how the crew of the USS Relativity has basically stopped all these incursions in time and all that kind of stuff leading up, like I said, to the temporal war and things of that nature. Now, at number 2, I figured we would have Star Trek ICONIA. Now, this would take place from the perspective of the Iconians. Okay, so it would basically focus on the early civilizations. So the Watchers, those civilizations, the people who seeded the galaxy for humans and everything like that, and Romulans. Y'all remember that episode? But it'll focus on the Iconians, those early civilizations, the Herc, all of those types of people, and why everybody banded together to defeat the Iconians. And I think that that would be a great um, series to have in Star Trek, that will explain that we'll be able to go into those truly early and ancient civilizations that we've only got glimpses of, or who are now omnipotent or ascended in current Star Trek canon. So, and for number 1, and I know it's going to be strange, but I'm going to call it Star Trek The Return. All right, and what is this going to be about? Basically, this is going to take place in current time, years after the events of Deep Space Nine. And it's going to focus on the reconstruction of Cardassia and how the Bajorans are now relating to a weakened Cardassia and everything, that the Bajorans could basically take over anytime they want to. They go into the politics and everything of that. It'll also go into an overall arc in the emissary coming back. It don't have to be Cisco. It could be a new emissary. It could go into the rebirth of the Pirates, or the freeing of the Pirates, and how they're trying to dismantle the relationship between the Cardassians and the Bajorans, because their relationship stems from one species, and it was a reason why the Prophets and the Pirates were so invested in the relationships between the Bajorans and the Cardassians. All right, so I think that would be a good one as well. Now, my son came up with this particular idea, and I thought that it would be great, and it could attract the people, or it could interest the people who may not be into the exploration or into all of those other aspects of Star Trek, but people who are really like into those procedural shows, or those court shows, or those law shows. All right, and it could be Star Trek Prime Directive. All right, and it'll focus on the law aspect of Starfleet. It could be an admiral, that runs a team of lawyers and everything like that. It could be like they investigate people who broke the Prime Directive, or who've violated temporal directives, or Omega directives, or disputes within Federation, types of things like that, but done in a way that expands upon species that we know and that we don't know. All right, what happens as a result of these people? It can go into the Law and Order type scenario with that. Now, going back to the Star Trek Section 13, one of the other things that I wanted to that I think would be a good reason why that'd be a good addition is because it can kind of cover whatever happened to the Makos. Did the Makos get absorbed into Starfleet security, or did the Makos get absorbed into Section 31? It could kind of go and touch on that as well. So what do you guys think of my list of Star Trek series that I think would be great additions to the Star Trek universe? Tell me what you guys think. Tell me if you guys think of any Star Trek series that you guys would like to see added, and why you would like to see added to the Star Trek universe. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, and as always, peace, recycle, and say the whales. You guys be cool.